What's up, you guys? My name is Michael Tandarich and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about my experience of getting my first office and why I don't have an office space anymore, and my overall review of Regus, which is the office space that I had leased from or tried to lease from, and some learnings that I got from getting my first office space. Back in late 2018, probably around November, December, my wife and I were talking about how I could expand my marketing agency and kind of take it to the next level. And one of the things we talked about was getting an office space. The reason we thought about getting an office space was a lot of the clients I work with are local, and they like to have places that you can go and meet. And I also think the perceived reality of an office space shows that you are a legitimate business, especially for a guy that looks younger like me and is younger. And it shows like this guy is actually taking this seriously. It is a real business to him. He's having success with it. And okay, because he has these additional expenses, it makes more sense that his packages are a couple $1,000s instead of getting into these situations that I was finding myself getting into of, oh, you just work from your house. It should only cost you a couple $100s to be able to do these marketing services. A big reason I was getting an office was I wanted to increase the perceived reality or the perceived value of my agency. Now, that being said, I had toured a bunch of office spaces in the Delaware area where I live, and a lot of them were either too expensive for just starting out, or they weren't very professional looking, and not a place that I really want to bring my clients to have meetings or prospects and have a first impression of bringing them to those locations. Now, one of the places I looked at was Regus. So Regus is a large corporation that has multiple offices throughout the world, and they basically rent out little office spaces within these corporate centers to small businesses like myself. In my search, I kind of had a couple run-ins with Regus. There were a couple locations around where I live, and I was finding that every time that I would submit a form or something to Regus, I would get berated with like a million sales calls. And at first it was kind of like a bad taste in my mouth, but I always have a soft spot in my heart for sales, so I fully understood it, and I kind of enjoyed the whole sales process that they had. So I went and toured one of the locations that is about 20-30 minutes away from my house, and I thought it was a good perception. I thought their location worked really well for where a lot of my clients were. It was along a very busy highway where a lot of traffic goes by, and so it was easy to find, because that was another thing I was finding was a lot of these places were hard to get to. So after my tour, everything seemed great about the place. Everything seemed to make sense. They showed me a couple office options, and I just picked one of the smaller ones. Wasn't even a window location, and it had enough room for about 4 desks, so it would be a perfect starting office. So I made a decision about early December to go ahead with them, and they sent me the agreement. After reading through everything, I ended up signing that agreement on December 21st, so 4 days away from Christmas, and put down the down payment, which was 3 months worth of payment, and that covered the first month too. So with that, I had a move-in date of February 1st, and the office I was looking at didn't even have anyone in there when I originally had seen it. So I was like, okay, great. February 1st will roll around and I'll be able to move in. So a couple days before February 1st, they sent me a list of things that I wanted in the office. So a desk, chairs, how many desks, phones, those kind of things. And so I gave them a list on January 25th of everything that I wanted in the office space. So February 1st rolls around. I go in to go check out the office, get my keys, and nothing was set up. So there were holes still in the wall. The paint wasn't matched correctly to the original paint, so it was all splotchy and everything. None of the desks, the chairs I requested were in there. And overall, like right off the bat, like just super unprofessional. They didn't have any plans on when to fix it or anything, which was a bit confusing to me because it was about a month and a half from signing my agreement to get the office space ready for me. But after a little pushing, they said they would get a painter in that week to start working on everything. And I also asked for my rate to be prorated until the day that I was actually able to move into my office space, because that makes sense. Why would I pay for days that I'm not there? And I asked them to waive the office restoration fee that was a couple $100s at the end of the agreement. So I also, every time I do these kind of things, I always send an email so it's in writing. So I also sent them an email with those things in it. Unfortunately, I didn't get a response back, but when I talked to them in person, they said they would talk to their manager and they would probably be able to get me prorated and waive that office restoration fee. So I was like, great. I'll move into my office within the week. I'll get prorated for the days I'm not here, and I'll waive that office restoration fee. So a couple days went by, the week ended, and I hadn't heard anything from them and hadn't gotten an update on the office at all. So I went back in and asked them where they were at with everything. They said they hadn't reached out to a painter yet, and that they were still working on trying to figure out how to fix the office and to patch up the holes, so nothing had been done to the office, and it was about 5 to 6 days later. Along with that, they also notified me that the second invoice is ready for March, and they said because Regus is owned by a European company in the way their times work or something, that invoice needed to be paid that day in order for me to keep my office. So at the time, I was like, well, I'm gonna have this office anyway, so I might as well pay the invoice, and I'll be in here in March anyhow, and whether everything was working or not, I'm going to have to pay this invoice, so I just paid the invoice.
Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Clearly, I know that's stupid, and normally I wouldn't do something that dumb. And then I sent them another email saying, hey, I need to be prorated for everything. I need the office restoration fee waived, and we need to lock down a date that the painter is going to be coming. And when I had gone in, they had said that, okay, they were working on getting another painter and that painter was going to be coming in the end of that week. I gave it a couple more days. I hadn't heard anything. And at that point, I was like, okay, if this is going to be the start of our business relationship together and it's already gone this poorly, how is the long term going to be? So I talked to a couple other business owners and people I know about what they thought about the situation, and they all kind of came to consensus that I should probably cancel the contract because it didn't seem like they were getting the office ready anytime soon, and if they were starting the relationship off this poorly, there's probably going to be issues down the road. So a couple days later, I sent them an email saying that I'm going to be canceling the agreement because the office was not ready, and it was completely within my right to do so because within the agreement, like line 1.3 or something, said that if nothing was ready that I could cancel the agreement. So after sending that email, I finally got an email back from the office manager, and he said that I would be able to just easily log into my account and cancel the agreement. Well, it turns out that just by logging into my account and canceling the agreement, that says I'm going to be canceling it at the end of the agreement, not the time or date that I'm asking to terminate it. Also, it should be noted that I only signed a 6-month agreement because I didn't know how I was going to feel about it being a year, and I didn't know if I was going to like the location or anything like that. Anyhow, when I canceled, I asked for my full refund of money, obviously. The office manager said that I would have to call the help desk and that they would help me. This is where things started just turning into a crap storm. Long story short, over a 5-month period, I had called the help desk multiple times, had either been hung up on, wasn't allowed to talk to managers at the help desk, was talked to very rudely. I was making no progress in getting any sort of my money back, and had already spent a couple hours on the phone with these people. I ended up having to go to my credit card company to dispute the charges and try to get my money back. And in the same time period of me trying to go to my credit card company to get the money back and still trying to get it back from Regus ended up charging me for another month, just pulled it right from my credit card and didn't notify me or didn't send me anything saying that they had access to my credit card and just pulled the money. Now, I remember when I made my first payment, there was an option to save my credit card on the account, and I didn't because I don't ever do that. Even if it's like for something like Comcast or paying my water bill, I do not save my credit card on the account or put on like auto payment. I don't do that at all. I go in at the end of every single month and pay all my bills. So I know for a fact I didn't go in and say, yes, you could pull it from my credit card. So then they started pulling money from my credit card, and I had to go and dispute that amount with my credit card company, and it just turned into a giant mess. So fast forward to the end of the 5 months, I ended up calling Regus and saying that I was going to get a lawyer involved if I didn't get paid, and they ended up paying me the full amount back. And then a couple days later, my credit card company awarded me the claim, and I ended up getting the money back from them. And then I got an invoice from Regus saying that I had overcharged them and that I needed to pay them, but I was still waiting for my credit card company to award me the claim. And because I didn't pay the invoice, which was the money that Regus had given me, they ended up putting a late fee on it. And so then I called them and said, hey, I will give you your money back because now I have paid from the credit card company and you guys refunded me, so I will give you your portion back, but you have to waive the late fee. And they refused to waive the late fee. So I ended up sending them the money and leaving the late fee out there. And that was the last that I had heard from them. So anyhow, that is my long story about my experience with Regus and why I don't have an office space right now and why I'm currently working out of my home office. And I think overall, there are a couple lessons I learned. One, always be on the lookout for additional charges. I found with Regus especially, they would try and charge you for having coffee every single day. They tried charging you if you want a meeting space room, if you want a conference room, if you want a phone, if you wanted to use the extra Wi-Fi that they had. They were always trying to nickel and dime you for things. So always keep a lookout, especially if you're getting an office space, if they're trying to nickel and dime you for things. The other thing that I've kind of learned from this is when I do eventually go and get an office space, I want to either own it and own the building myself or rent it out from a mom and pop shop. It's kind of the same scenario with like Comcast or Verizon. Like if you have an issue, it's like impossible to get a hold of anyone. So owning the place or renting from a smaller like mom and pop type office space rental gives you the opportunity to either fix the things yourself or be able to directly talk with the person that owns the place and have them be able to fix things. So the third thing that I learned through this entire scenario, and this is something that I've always done, is to document everything. And so that means sending emails with your requests in them, sending emails listing out everything that has happened so far, and taking pictures of issues that are going on in the scenario. I did everything with the emails and tracking everything. I just didn't take the pictures, which was kind of like a big downfall for me in this whole scenario. So I would highly suggest taking pictures if there's an issue. Overall, am I going to get an office space again? I don't know. I kind of am enjoying working from the house, hanging out with the kids at lunch, having employees, but having them be remote so that they can work on their own time and not having set times that everyone has to work and come into an office space. I also think it keeps expenses down by not having an office, which gives me more opportunity to invest it into the business or invest it into other things. Maybe down the road, I will have another office space, but in the current near future, I probably won't have an office space. And in the future, when I do go to get an office space, I can guarantee it won't be with Regus. So that's my experience with getting an office, my experience with Regus, and I hope that you liked this video. If it was helpful in any way in making your decision about Regus or your decision about getting an office space, or you have your own experiences with getting an office space, please let me know in the comments below, and please make sure to subscribe. I'm going to be having other videos coming out about marketing, about business and building a business, and about money. And I would love it if you guys could follow me along with my journey. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.